It's about self love. It's about actually caring about how healthy you are, how you feel. Not just self love, but passionate self love. How much will you do for yourself? How far will you go for yourself? What are you willing to sacrifice for yourself?
Hey everyone, let's start healing. I'm Adrienne Murchison, and welcome to episode 122 of the Let's Start Healing podcast. We have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can change the world. As I was saying, the episode number, something flashed through my mind that is going to age me, and it's also nostalgic, and maybe some of you are trivia people and you might want to go look it up. But I said episode 122 of the Let's Start Healing podcast, and I started thinking of room 222. I'm not even going to say anything more about room 222. If you know what that is, let me know. You can get in touch with me on social media through Let's Start Healing on Instagram, or you can send me an email at Let's Start Healing Podcast at gmail.com, or you can get in touch with me through Facebook also at Let's Start Healing Podcast. Do you know what room 222 refers to? Okay, so I am, as always, excited about my guest. My guest today is Melissa Migliavacca, and she lives in Grenada. And she is a friend who I bonded with immediately through a program that I have been involved in for the last 2 months, which is Ignite. It's a motivational speaking program by Lisa Nichols, who is a renowned self empowerment coach, motivational speaker. And she is one of the people who you would know from The Secret. And so this program has been really impactful for the participants. There's about 200 people, I believe, in this 2 month session that I have been in, and Melissa is one of them. And Melissa has written a book about her weight loss journey, and her weight loss journey was in a very short period of time. She did do it in a healthy way, but it is not so much about her weight loss as her determination to make up her mind and choose herself and do something that would empower her. And she wrote a book about it titled Goodbye to Flab, Hello to Fab, a guided 90-day weight loss journal for women. This is the book right here. And she's going to talk a little bit about it and about herself. She lives in Grenada. She's a native of Jamaica. And Melissa is just very inspirational. And I am titling this episode Never Give Up because what she did required choosing herself and not giving up, even during the hard times. So I'm very excited about you meeting her. And I want to make a comment about this program that I've been in. And as I said, it was emotional, or it is. It's ending tomorrow in my time as I'm recording this, a motivational speaking program. But one of the things that has been profound and amazing to me is this Facebook group that was put together as a closed Facebook group for the participants. And what I noticed about it during the last 2 months, we were posting comments, obviously, and we were posting videos of different techniques in motivational speaking. And what I noticed about it was, or is that Everyone is very loving and supportive of each other and very vulnerable. That's what attracted me to Lisa Nichols and her program, is that I noticed that people are very vulnerable. She is, and I'm not this. The point of this is not to promote her, although I think she's pretty awesome. But she is about, or the people around her and in her program are really showing vulnerability and things that they have been through, trials that they have come through. That's what attracted me, because I was watching something that she was offering for 5 days. I think it was in September, like maybe early September, very end of August. It was probably in August. It was like this 5-week session, and it was really, really cool. And it was about motivational speaking techniques. And then she had an extra session on a Saturday. And I said, okay, after everything was fantastic, I said, okay, I'll listen to it on Saturday. And it's probably going to be something about signing up for something, something, and I'm not going to do it. And I did, because as I was watching what she put out there, which was a lot of connection of different people who were interested in sharing their voice. And it was really touching me because people were being very vulnerable, and what they were talking about and sharing their spirit and their heart was resonating for me. I could relate to what everyone was saying, although they were from a different walk of life. And then I got really ticked off because I was like, I know, no, I am not going to sign up for this thing. I cannot afford it. And I started crying and talking to God, because I felt like it was something I was called to do. Although I knew that September, October, November were going to be busy times for me, work wise and life wise. And I felt it was calling me. And I started crying like, God, just what are you doing to me? But I answered what I thought was a calling, and I signed up for this. And as soon as I made the decision to do it, everything felt right. And so, my point in bringing this up is not to say, go check this out. It is to say, follow your spirit and follow your heart and listen to that voice inside you, because that was one of many steps of me choosing me. And when I chose me, a lot of things became easier for me. I felt blessings come to me, and blessings were already coming to me. Maybe I chose this because I was already in a space of inspiration. But my point is, choose you, do what's right for you. That's my hope. And that's what I'm trying to convey. Listen to that voice inside, because what I'm learning is that's the answer. That is the answer, to listen to the voice inside and where it leads us. And as I was trying to say before I went off on a detour, was that this group, this program has a Facebook group, a closed Facebook group. And I thought it, and still do think that it is so amazing how everyone can be vulnerable and receive support and give support. And it's just so positive. And I just was thinking, wow, why can't all social media be like this? Why is regular social media, why does it tend to tear people down, even if we disagree with each other? That's just my 2 cents about that. But it's a healing 2 cents, because it takes less energy and more progressive energy to be positive than to tear someone else down. So let's get back to Melissa. She is a wonderful, beautiful person, a single mom. As I said, she lives in Grenada. She is a motivational speaker. She is a self empowerment coach, and she is an author. And she is going to share her story with us. And before we get to her, I want to invite you and ask you to please subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Like the episode. And again, let me know what you think. Get in touch. You can reach me on Instagram at Let's Start Healing Podcast, as well as on Facebook and on through email at Let's Start Healing Podcast at gmail.com. Remember, we do have more in common than we think. And what we have in common can change the world. So let's get started. Let's meet Melissa and let's start healing. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you, Adrian. It's my pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
I am so grateful to have you here. And I feel like I've known you for 20 years.
I feel the same. I feel the same. It's so great that we connected, you know. You have
Immediately.
such yes, immediately. It's I feel the same sentiments. It's like we've known each other forever.
Yes. And we met through Lisa Nichols' Ignite program.
Yes.
And you are in Grenada.
I am.
Are you a native?
Originally from Jamaica and
Okay.
living here now. Yes.
And how did you end up in Grenada?
You know what? I work with an amazing brand and I was offered an opportunity to travel here and I jumped right into it.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was supposed to be short term, but I'm still here. I like the island. It's a beautiful island.
How many years? How long ago was that?
I want to say close to 5 years.
I know we have a lot to talk about, but what brand?
That's a great question. That is a very, very great question. I'll probably tell you about the brand off air.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, a big part of what we're going to talk about, and I love about your story, is not even a year ago to now, you have come through a journey
Mm.
and you are an inspiration and you want to share empowerment with other people. And we're going to get to what that looks like and what your expertise is and your brand. And I want to just kick this off with asking you about spirituality and how you would describe your personal spirituality and your connection to God and or your higher power,
You
spirit.
see, spirituality for me is so important. So important, Adrian. I am a strong believer in God, and I do not and will never apologize for that. God is everything. I have this thing that I like to say I put God first, and I wholeheartedly do that. If I have to make a decision, I pray about it. Even that journey that you mentioned earlier, I prayed about it. And I believe God was in that story as well.
So last Christmas Eve, if I have it right, you had an experience with which I want you to share. And the comment that I want to make is that my understanding, when I listened to you talk about it, it was a matter of you made a decision and you did what you decided to do. And it may not be as simple as that, but it's as simple as that. You made a decision in a moment. Something occurred to you, you made an observation, you made a decision, and you did that thing.
You are you're right. And whenever I think about it, it just there's so many different emotions that comes with it because it was December 24th, 2022. I was at home when one of my relaxation specialist team member reached out to me and they asked me to send them a photo we had taken a couple days before. As I pulled up the image, I noticed something rather unusual. I didn't recognize myself. I had gained so much weight over a relatively short period of time. How did I get here? The question came over and over and over and over in my mind. That night I slipped into depression. I could not sleep. Then it started coming back to my memory that it wasn't just about how I looked, looking at my huge double chin and my bulges of my side hanging over my skirt. It wasn't just about that. It was about the fact that I've been feeling sick. There was a lot of physical unease, and it didn't dawn on me that I was gaining so much weight until I looked at that photo. The next day, I said have to do something about this. I jumped into fix it mode and I contacted a wellness coach. She said to me, "You know it's Christmas, right?" I said, "I know." She said, "You sure you don't want to wait until the new year?" I said, "No," because inside I knew I needed to give this gift to myself. Many times we make New Year resolution, but do we ever follow through with it? We don't. So I changed everything. I had to starve myself of my detrimental cravings. Anyone who knows me knows I love chocolate. I love ice cream. I love milkshake, copious amount of wine and cheese. I had to give that up temporarily, and it worked out. I'm so grateful I did. God was so good to me when I tell you, He gave me the right people at the right time with the right process. Because 3 days later, that was December 31st, after making that bold decision, I met someone very special who played an integral role in my transformation. I mean, there were days when I felt like giving up, and that person kept me grounded and motivated until I was able to stand on my own. Adrian, 90 days later, I lost 45 pounds. And I'm telling you, it was not any rigorous routine or forced diet. Persons started observing the changes. Everyone was stopping me, asking me in my job, "How did you do it? How did you go from here to here?" That gave me more inspiration. I would sit and share with everybody. And then it dawned on me, you need to share this globally. Other women need to know about this. You need to impact as many people as possible. And so that is how goodbye to Flab and hello to Fab came about. I wrote a guided 90 days journal for women.
That's incredible, and what you're talking about is so real, and can you share a little about the hard moments and your friend who helped you to stay in there and not give up during those hard moments? Because the things that you're talking about that you like to have, that's all stuff that I like. That's all stuff that I like. I have my own issues around, and I know how food affects my body. So I can eat some carbs. Right now I'm on a cracker thing. Right?
Wow.
I've been on these organic, it doesn't matter that they're organic, they are carbs. And it relaxes me to eat these.
Mhm.
And so, but I know what they do to my body. They're gonna have me, gain weight, or they're gonna have me appear bloated, or depending how much I eat. So how did you make it through those times where you had these things that would bring you comfort during a rigorous day?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't a walk in the park. I will tell everyone it takes discipline. There were days when I felt like having these retreats. So, what I would resort to is having a bar, a healthy bar. it soon became so tasty to me that I no longer desired to
Yeah,
have any of those chocolates.
health bars
So
are
I
good.
found,
They have a chocolate
yes,
something something to them though.
yes, they do. And what I did, I looked for all of those nice ones so that I would not miss the taste of chocolate. But those were healthy things that I introduced to my diet. I had a lot of water. I timed myself. I need to have water. I need to have water. I need to have water. Sometimes when you feel hungry, you actually do not need food. You can have some water, have some tea,
Mhm. We're
as opposed,
dehydrated.
absolutely, as opposed to snacking, and it works. Now let's talk about when I worked out. The initial stage was very tough. I remember getting on the elliptical and I couldn't do more than 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. And my friend would say, try to do 10 minutes without stopping. And then that 10 minutes moved to 20 minutes, to 30 minutes. And then I was doing an hour without stopping. I
For
am proud to say that I can actually work out for hours without taking a break. So you just have to start small. A lot of times when you want to embark on something or get some form of transformation, we feel like we need to just dive in. You got to take steps to get to the great goal. Ever heard of micro wins to get to macro wins? That was a perfect example of what I went through.
and 45 pounds in 90 days is amazing.
Yes.
Uh, What did you I mean, what does that equate to? 2 pounds a day, a pound a day?
I will tell you, I could not tell you on a scale, a daily scale, because
Mhm.
that was one of the greatest thing too. My friend also told me it's better not to look at the scale too frequently. And I listened. So the big thing is when you embark on a journey of weight loss, there's certain things you have to take into consideration. And that is one of them. Do not watch your weight too much. Do what needs to be done. You're just going to transform from one day to another. The same way you transform in the unfavorable way, it's going to happen to you the same way when you are losing weight.
And then the food, your food choices. I know you know that food has a lot of toxins in it,
Yes.
a lot of the foods that we eat. So that plays a
Yes.
role in things also, right?
Yes, it does. And that is the reason why I did a detox before I started the transformational journey of weight loss. And that was a coach I reached out to because I needed to clean my system of all the food I was having that wasn't good for my system, reset my system before I started that journey. So it was it was well thought. It was intentional.
Yeah.
It was intentional.
Can you speak to self-love for a moment? Because I just know you must be really proud of yourself. I hope you are.
Adrian, I proud is an is I don't want to say it's an understatement, but I don't have words to tell you how good I feel. And as I would have mentioned earlier, even though the journal is about weight loss, it's also about self-love. Because one person quoted, I don't remember who it is, do not work out because you hate your body. Work out because you love your body. Self love is what you eat, self love is what you think, self love is what you do. If you love yourself passionately, you will do what is good for you.
Exactly. Self-love is what you do for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And before all of this, you were in this industry, you're a spa and fitness expert,
Yes.
and you were doing this before this whole before December 24, 2022. You were in this industry,
I've
right?
been in this industry for more than 15 years. So
Really?
yes, I'm an expertise in this field. However, there was a time when I lost focus of myself, and it was in that year, 2022. I was busy trying to help everybody else and forget about me. I'm sure that that's relatable to a lot of people.
You're a
You
mom,
know,
right? You're
I am. I am. I'm a mom of an 11-year-old girl. She's my whole world.
Oh my, my.
Yes, yes.
Are you married? Are you a single mom?
I am divorced. I'm divorced. Yes. I'm
So that
successfully raising my daughter on my own.
and that's stress when you're, I mean, of course you love your daughter. I'm sure she's your world, but you have a lot of stress and pressure, I would imagine, that can arise in different moments being a single mom and you're a career woman.
Absolutely.
Did that
Yes.
play a role into all of this?
You know what? It did and it didn't. Okay. So, as I was saying earlier, the sometimes you lose focus because I'm somebody who's passionate about people, helping people. So I would invest a lot of time to help people to go through whatever it is that they had to go through.
You're an
It's
empath.
sometimes, yes, to make a difference, to help people to get to a better stage. I just want to help somebody to feel better, do better, be better. That's me. And for some reason, for the very first time in my life, I didn't do that for myself. I literally placed myself at the back of my own line. And then I remembered when I came out of all of this after my transformation, I remember you cannot pour unless you have an overflow. I was pouring even when there was nothing left to pour.
Mhm.
And that is what got me in that state. So this journey helped me with balance and discipline so I can continue helping people and still not neglect myself. My daughter was one of the strongest support systems in my life. She understood that mommy needed to do this for herself. She was so patient. And I spoke about her in my journal, about her unwavering patience and support. She warms my heart. She does.
You have such a love and grace about you, and I think that's why I was so gravitated to you because you have that and you have a knowing. I feel like you see people and you just have a knowing about you. Has anybody ever said that to you before?
As a matter of fact, I've been told that severally. But you know what, Adrian? I think we're kindred spirits. I think so.
I think so too. I definitely
Yeah.
do. What do you think that God calls you to do for you and also for others through your work? And share a little about specifically what you do, your role in the your day-to-day in the spa and fitness industry.
Hmm.
So that was like
I
2.
believe, I believe that God called me to help people to become a better version of themselves. I believe God called me to spread kindness because at nature I'm a kind person. And it doesn't matter what happened, that part of me never dims. I continue to love in the most wholesome way and continuously be kind. So I do believe this is my calling to help to transform. Yes.
And you feel passion around that.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
And how does that
Transformation is my calling. It is.
transformation is your calling?
Yes, it is.
And so what do you think he calls you to do for you in this work?
That's an excellent question, Adrian. There are some things I'm still praying about. And I do believe that when we have another call, hopefully I would have heard back from him so I can speak further. I know I told you earlier that any decision I have to make, I pray about it. It is so serious that I tell God, no matter how good it looks, if it's not from you, I do not want it. I don't want it.
Yeah. And I think that I'm including myself in this because I turn it on myself as well. I think that when we think about what our purpose purpose is in this world. Sometimes I think or I say, what would you have me do? I ask God, what would you have me do? And that's to serve other people. One of my passions in life, I think we all are here to serve others. We're here to
Yeah.
serve each other. And so that's what I want to do. I want to serve other people. I believe that my way of doing that arises from the passion that I have in my spirit. And the other side of that question is, what would God have that do for me?
Hmm.
What does God want me to do for me? And so that's my question for you. Like when you are communing, with God and your Holy Spirit, what do you think God wants you to do for you, Melissa, who he loves?
I believe he wants me to take some of the same advice that I'm giving to everybody else. I'm still praying about it. I'm still
Well,
praying about what God actually wants me to do for myself.
and you know what? That must be true because if that is true, and I believe it must be, in part, maybe there may be that and more, but you are an example of what you are trying to help people with.
That is true. That is true.
You're like, what the what?
Yes,
So,
and as it relates to my daily operation, you know, you see, it comes back to giving back again. Because one of the highlights of my day on any given day is when one of my guests or clients come out of an experience, calls for me and say, "This is the best experience I have ever had." It's priceless.
are you a manager?
I
Or
am.
do you work directly with the clients at a fitness spa center, wellness center?
I'm a manager. I manage the operation of the spa and fitness. So I have employees who help me to achieve all the daily goals.
How did you get into this business?
That is a very funny story that I'd be happy to share. So many years ago, I thought I wanted to go in accounting. There's so many times that I changed what I wanted to do in life. But that time I said I wanted to be an accountant. And I went to school, I did accounting. I landed my first job with the same company in the accounts department. And it was short lived. 8 months in, and I knew this was not for me. Everyone started saying, "This is, you should be, I know you're great at what you're doing, but your personality is so bubbly and so warm. You need to be out there engaging people. You need to be talking directly to guests, to customers." And an opportunity came up for me to go to the spa. At that point in time, I knew absolutely nothing about spa. We're talking about many years ago. The fact that I've been in this field for over 15 years, it's a lot of years. And nonetheless, I went, and that's how I got into the spa. I started out as a receptionist in the spa. And the moment I stepped in, I realized that this is home. Wow, the smell, the music, so soothing. And then persons were coming out of experiences and saying, "This is the best experience I've ever had." Until today, those are the best words I can hear.
When you had stepped away before we started recording, I heard a little bit of the background music, and it seems to me that this is not a gym, it's a fitness center, but it's not a gym. Like I went to the gym earlier today. This is a spa. So
Yeah.
I heard music that I would hear when I go get a massage.
Yes.
So am I correct in that?
You are correct, because the spa and the fitness center are in two different locations. So you wouldn't hear the fitness music right now, but if we should trek up to where the fitness center is, then it will be an entirely different ball game. And that sounds like when I'm working out.
Okay. Okay. And I saw some footage of you on the treadmill.
Oh,
last week.
yes. Yes. Listen, and that is what I tell you. It teaches you balance. This transformation allowed me to learn how to balance my life and become more disciplined because I was on a call with all of you and I was working out
Mhm.
because I knew that once I was through, it would be impossible to work out and still get home in time to make my daughter dinner and everything that I needed to do. I did what I had to make sure nothing got left out that day. Because I
And
work, I study, I'm a full time mom.
and you're in school. What are you studying in school?
That's another great question. I will share it with you all off the air.
I thought you were gonna say that a few minutes ago when I asked how you
Yes,
got into this business, and you said, "That's a great story." I thought you were
yes.
gonna say, "I'll share that with
No.
you offline."
Yes, I'm always happy to share that story because this called me. I didn't go looking for this. It came looking for me. So,
That's a calling. And I wanna circle back. I was thinking this earlier about the weight gain. It's not that it's something wrong with, weight because
no.
we have all different body types. It's about how we get there and how healthy we are.
Yes.
And, am I stress eating and what that looks
Hmm.
like? What time of the night am I eating? Is this bad for my heart? Is this bad for am I causing inflammation? Just
Hmm.
there's different things around weight gain that can be harmful. And it's not about somebody being heavy, and
No.
so I want you to speak to that because I know you know that and you did speak to that somewhat.
Yes. Yes.
And so
Yes.
it wasn't just about you looked and you saw this photo of yourself and you thought,
Hmm.
how did I gain this weight? It was about, were you healthy?
Yes. I'm so happy that you tracked back on that because Adrian, it's not just about shedding pounds. And that is something my journal spoke to as well. It's about how you feel. And a lot of what happened to me was how I felt. A lot of times I felt sick and I didn't know why I was feeling so sick. I felt full all the time, and believe me, it was not from food. It was like a malaise and overall unwellness. And
Yes.
after I lost the excess pounds, I'm telling you, I've never felt better. I feel like my old self again. So it's my old new self.
Yeah. Yes, and it's significant that you did a detox. It's
Yes,
significant for me that
yes,
you did a detox before you set out, to on the fitness and the weight loss,
yes.
because whenever I have done a fast, I can feel the difference. I feel like I'm getting the toxins out of my body.
Very important, especially that Daniel fasting, right? With the fruits and everything. Very important. But yes, a detox is necessary to reset the system. And you can do your own detox if you choose not to have somebody like a wellness coach assist you. For me, I did not have that skill. So I reached out to somebody who knew what they were doing so they could have helped me with that. Now I can actually do a detox for myself. But it's important that you understand it's not about shedding pounds. It's about self-love. It's about actually caring about how healthy you are, how you feel. Not just self-love, but passionate self-love. How much will you do for yourself? How far will you go for yourself? What are you willing to sacrifice for yourself?
Yes, yes. And share with me, if you will, a miracle or a blessing that you had in your life that you said or you knew this was completely God. I didn't have anything to do with this. This was beyond my abilities. Completely God.
My daughter is my biggest blessing. I am so grateful for this little girl. So grateful. I wanted to have two children and I got one, and I'm so happy that God blessed me with her. But on a different note, I will see, and I hope this is not getting too much into anything, but I will share it just the same. I remember some years ago, I was on my way to a Thanksgiving service, and my daughter, she was probably around 3 or 4. She was in the back seat of the car. My mom was on the passenger side, and I was driving. It was about 2 hours drive to get to where we were going. And I was very stressed and overwhelmed because I was going through the separation with my now ex husband. And my daughter would not stay in her seat. She kept getting up over and over, and I kept saying, "Sit down, sit down." She has a lot of energy. I was up to here with all the frustration and her not listening. And I felt a hand touch me on my shoulder. I will never, ever forget this. And I always thought about when am I going to share this again? Because I shared it with the church I attend. I felt a hand touch me gently on my shoulder. It was as if to say, everything is going to be okay. And I thought it was my daughter, and I pulled over. I pulled the car over. And when I looked around, she was sleeping. I cried so much because I knew that touch came from God. I knew it came from God. I knew He touched me on my shoulder and told me everything was going to be okay. And I was comforted for the rest of the journey, the rest of the day, the rest of the week until I was comforted. When I went to my place of worship and I shared it with the worship team, they were all taken aback. I remember one person saying to me, "Wow, to feel the touch of God is something that all of us are longing for, but it happened to you." The strange thing is, I've never felt it again. I've never felt that touch again. But I've had many other experiences that reminds me that God is here with me. Ever so often, it's impossible for me to doubt His existence. It's impossible.
That is so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And when I think about that kind of an experience, and I think about like you experiencing that versus me or somebody else, and or somebody else experiencing something like that, I think that in my mind that it's about our openness. Even though you were really,
Mhm.
really stressed, something, some part of you was open and God touched you. I mean, God may touch me and I don't feel it because, like, in that moment, in a moment, hand could be right here, but I don't feel it because maybe some part of my spirit isn't open in that moment to feel that touch. But some part of you was open and you felt that and you still
I,
remember that feeling and your daughter is
yes.
laughing now.
And it took me all the way back just thinking about it, just remembering everything that day.
That is so
It was
beautiful.
something I've never felt before. It was priceless. It was comforting. It was healing. It was promising. Everything is going to be okay. And everything was okay. So not only did He touch me to let me know everything was going to be okay, but it was okay after that.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
What would you say is your special gift that, or superpower, for lack of a better word, that you have inherently
Hmm.
a gift?
I think my gift is speaking. I'm also my best self when I write. I have a way of reaching people, and I don't want to say healing because healing is of God. So when I sit and I have conversations with persons who are reaching out because they need someone to hear them, I am that someone. So that is a gift as well.
You're a great listener
I am.
because you hear people.
I do.
What did you mean when you said you're at your best when you're writing? Is it what's coming through you, or what did you mean?
I believe that it not only provides me the serenity that I need when I'm writing, but it comes naturally. It's effortless. And I've known this for a very long time because even as a young child growing up, when I was 12 years old, everything I wrote was put on exhibition in my school. And that was poems, mostly and short stories. So I know I'm gifted for that. And I've written a lot of things. I just never published it. I'm so happy that I finally decided to step into that world. What is very funny now that you ask, this book that I published recently is the last one that I wrote. I felt that the timing was right. The world is so focused on health and wellness because a lot of us are lacking in that area, and that was me. So I decided to put that out first. But I do have two others that are completed, and they're going to follow shortly. So I'm my best self when I write.
Yeah,
I love to write.
you have a bank of content, and I can actually see you doing a podcast.
Yes, I thought about it, but not in details.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I think it's coming.
speak it
Would you
into existence.
Yes, yes. Would you say that you are a healer or a seeker?
I would say I'm a healer because I rarely ever go looking for, as I mentioned, I forget my own self, trying to help everybody else. And the help had nothing to do with something that was going to benefit me. It was about helping somebody just be better and feel better. I like to see people happy.
Yeah.
Many years ago, my aunt told me, you cannot make people happy, right? I've been told that.
That is wise, and that's really a compliment to my next question, which is,
Mhm.
what have you, if anything, learned about being an empath? Because I'm an empath, and it's funny because my nephew, he used to say, "Oh, you're an empath." He's He'd be like, "Oh,
As if it's
you
something so
care about
bad.
people." And there is something, it's something to care about somebody, but not taking on their stuff. But, as an empath, that can be a tricky thing. And so what have you learned about being you, caring so
Hmm.
much about people, being empathetic?
I will tell you this. I learned that I also have to care about myself because you could care about the entire world. It doesn't mean that if you need that ear or you need that shoulder, that it's going to be there for you. So when you're doing this, you can't be doing it because you're hoping that it's coming back to you. You're doing it because it gives you satisfaction that you can be there for somebody. But I also learned that I cannot pour when I have nothing to pour. And this journey helped me to create that balance.
Mhm.
So there was a time when I would just invest all my time into making or finding a way to help others to feel better, be better, as I mentioned. I know I keep saying it because it is me. But now I also invest the time to make sure that I pour into myself. I have to pour into myself so I can keep pouring into others. I am okay being an empath, totally okay with it because
Yeah.
I have a balance.
Right. I mean, it sounds like that was a process. I mean, it's who you are, it's who I am.
Yes.
I'm okay being it, but it took me It took me, it was probably, I don't know, within the last 4 years that I understood being an empath doesn't mean I take on your stuff. I can be there for you, but it doesn't mean that if you're sick, I'm sick.
Oh no. No.
You're depressed, I'm depressed. It doesn't
Not
mean
at all.
that.
Not at all.
I
I'll
just
listen to you,
that way.
lend you my shoulder, help you figure it out, but I'm not going into your story.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not going
used to
into your
do I
story.
used to do that. And really I used to do that, and this isn't saying anything negative, but I definitely was that way with my mother, and and that was because I loved her so much. She's not living now, but I
I'm
loved her so
sorry.
much. If something was bothering her, I felt like, "Give it to me because I love you. Give it to me. I'll take it." And it's not anything negative, in any way. It was about I love her. I loved her that much. And so if I was that way with her, then that's how I was out in the world. And
No.
that's not healthy. It's not a healthy
No.
way to be. I found for myself. It's not a healthy way to
Mm.
be. And so that's when it started clicking for me about um, the road I could go down as an empath.
Mm. That is so true.
Yeah.
And another thing that is common among empaths, you normally care about what people think. Let me tell you something, Adrienne. There was a time when I cared what people thought. I do not care anymore. Life, listen, I had to have a courageous conversation with myself some years ago,
Love that.
maybe 2 years ago, about what I shouldn't do. Because somebody said this, you need a should not do list as much as you need a to do list. And it is so true. I had that conversation with myself and I've never been the same again. I do not, you cannot worry about being disappointed by somebody. What you have to do is say, can I handle it when and if I get disappointed? That's it. People are human and they're going to disappoint you,
That is
but you
so,
have
so
to be strong enough to know that if it happens, how do I move past this? And recent times have taught me very well, cemented it because I knew, but it cemented it for me that I do not have to anticipate too much. You don't have to anticipate. Give without looking back. And if you get disappointed, think of how you'll move from it and don't think that you will never get disappointed because that's already a disappointment.
and when you say anticipate, do you mean anticipate what the other person will think, how they'll respond? What do you mean
No,
by
anticipate meaning do not anticipate that somebody's going to treat you the same way that you treat them, that somebody's going to be the same, give you the same energy or care the same way. Do not anticipate it. You can hope for it, and if it comes, you can take it. But that is setting yourself up for disappointment. And like I said, you cannot think you will never get disappointed. Got to change the mindset. If you get disappointed, are you able to handle it?
that is so wise. That's a real gem because
Yes.
that is so true. And that's what we tend to do.
Mm.
And then we become invested in somebody else's opinion or how they treated us. And that's such a slippery slope. That is super
It
wise.
is. It really is.
Well,
Listen,
I I love this. I'm so happy that you are sharing this and you're a woman of wisdom. I see it
thank
all
you.
over you.
Thank you.
I see it all over you. How can people get in touch with you?
How can people get in touch with me? Adrienne, hopefully on our next call, I'll be able to say where persons can get in touch with me. But for now, I'll wait for the website to do the connection. But if anybody's looking for the book, they can actually find it on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. But as it relates to contacting me for now to have one-on-one coach sessions and motivational sessions, that will have to be waiting until I have the website.
Okay. Okay. And
Yes.
that will be in the coming months.
Yes.
So if
Sooner
someone
than later.
wonderful. So if someone wants to reach you, they can reach out to me and
Yes.
I will uh, talk to you and connect because
Absolutely.
you're a speaker and you are a coach, a
Yes.
wellness coach. And so wonderful, wonderful. And
Self
Mel,
love, passionate self love, and
ye-
regaining confidence.
yes,
I'm your
and
person.
Mel Melia
Yes.
is the name that show share with people Mel Melia versus your full name and where you use Mel Melia.
So, Melissa Migliavacca is my full name. The name Mel Melia is what I'm affectionately called. And Mel, because a lot of persons were familiar with me, just shortened my name and I like it. So I accepted. Melia, I intentionally did that because a lot of persons struggle pronouncing my surname, Migliavacca. So Melia is easier. And that's also my author's name. So you'll find that on my book and books to come.
Wonderful. And your book is available on Amazon.
Yes, it is. And you can go ahead and look out for the next one coming up, Rediscovering Yourself After a Divorce. And that is in a two-part because there's also a guided journal attached to that
When is that coming out?
in a few months.
That
It's already ready.
I can't wait to talk to you about that. So I know you're going to come back.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Melissa. This is
Thank
wonderful.
you. It was my pleasure. Thank you, Adrian, for having me. I really enjoyed connecting with you.
I did too. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can listen to all Let's Start Healing episodes on traditional platforms. That includes Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Until next time, let's start healing.